Graham Gartland, we just did commentary on Arsenal's 2-1 win at West Ham, and as we both just said, there was nothing really in that game. This was a very forgettable game of football, but 3 massive points for Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't think they'll care how they got them at this stage, Arsenal. I think they just want to be racking up the points to make sure that they secure fourth place. I didn't think that there was enough quality from them in the game. The fact that it was 2 set pieces was a really good delivery, actually, because Odegaard had taken the first one off the left-hand side, and Tavares went over and probably just put a little bit more height and then got it over the first man. And it's a wonderful header from Holding. In fairness, I thought he was excellent on the day, considering he came in from Ben White. I thought he was brilliant. And then Gabriel gets the second one, and the two of them were probably the match winners for Arsenal, both in the opposition box and in their own box.
It was a different type of victory for Arsenal, because generally this season when they've been winning big games, and this away to a good West Ham side is a big victory, it's been the 3 behind the striker. It's been Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, who've dragged them through games, who've produced moments of magic. All 3 of them were pretty poor today. In fact, it was a stern, resolute defensive effort. They just scrapped it out.
Yeah, like I said, I thought that the 3 that played behind Nketiah were really poor. Nketiah was probably the best out of them all, and he got them up the pitch a little bit and had a threat and probably had shots on goal. I know that's where they get their first goal from, was his shot on goal, leads to a corner and they score. So he was probably their bright light from him in an attacking sense. The 3 behind that just didn't look like they had an appetite to run forward and support them. And it led to probably, like you said, a dull game from an Arsenal point of view. But it's probably a result that I remember that Arsenal took a lot of stick for being soft a few years ago. They were soft. They weren't. Troy Deeney comes out and says they're soft. Neville and Carragher come out, saying there's a soft underbelly for Arsenal. There wasn't that today. The quality wasn't there. The 44% possession in the game, but they won the game.
West Ham were the better side for an hour, really, until Gabriel scored the second goal, and felt like they just ran out of gas completely, which I guess is understandable considering they're in the middle of 2 of the biggest games in the club's history.
Yeah, I was probably, when I said they lost enthusiasm, that's harsh from my point of view. They probably lost that extra yard of closing down, that zip in that pass and that ability to maybe run. The concentration level dips when you get tired. And they probably, just like you said, they ran out of steam. The substitutions probably didn't help. Because the quality then into the big lads that come on just wasn't there. Antonio couldn't get in the game. I think he gave away 2 or 3 fouls when he came on. Souček came on but couldn't make runs into the box because the deliveries weren't good enough when they did get into wide areas. Rice was driving them when Noble was on because he had that safety blanket of him sitting. But when Souček came on, he was the one that was making the box, and it meant that Declan Rice was the one that ended up holding the game. And I would have liked, obviously Souček comes on because his aerial ability and he's you said he nicks a goal, but it probably took away from Rice driving, because that was what was West Ham were good in the first half. Inside left channel, driving through, feeding the wide man, feeding the fullback Fredericks, but then driving through on the inside and getting some shots away. And that's where I thought it dulled him a little bit in the last 20 minutes too.
I fear I'm going to spend the next 10 years talking about Declan Rice and wondering what might have been from an Irish point of view, because he's just so goddamn good. We saw in that first half, it feels as though he's everything right now. Like the pace that he had on 2 or 3 occasions to get back and cover, his range of passing, which we saw for the first goal. There's very little as a central midfielder he can't do right now.
Yeah, I think he has power. I think his physical ability is there for all to see. He's really matured. He looks like has a presence about him now that he's probably 6'1", 6'2", but he looks it. Powerful, but his awareness has improved a lot, and his range of passing has improved a lot. And you know what? He punches passes through now, 20-yard passes where he's taking it off the back 4 and he's punching it into those front 3 of West Ham that you're talking about. It is it's an absolute shame, and I don't know how we're in a situation where you've played him in friendlies, but we haven't been able to get minutes in it.
Don't do it to yourself.
And because I think what a player he would have been for Ireland, and what a player he's turning out to be for England. But West Ham will do well to hold on to him, and like you said, shows the importance of making sure that they qualify for these tournaments. But he's by far better than the 2 centre midfielders that Arsenal have.
Is he a player you look at and think, quite literally, any team in the Premier League, he would improve them in midfield?
Yeah, like Rodri does his role for Man City. Rice could, I know Man City were interested in him a couple of years ago, and Rice could do that role, especially with Fabinho moving on, or is it Fernandinho, sorry, moving on in the summer.
Well, has he got more than Rodri? Because now Rodri.
I know Giles was critical.
Well, I was just going to say he did score in the last couple of games. He was on to 5 goals this season. But what John Giles was saying is, does he ever set up a goal?
Yeah.
I was making the point he's the guy who provides
correct.
the pass, which was what Declan Rice did today. He provided the pass for Soucek. But does Rice have more to his game than a Rodri, which is probably the position he'd go into if he went to Manchester City?
I don't know. It's a tough one. You'd like to see him in that team with all that firepower around him and that ability around him. That when he is giving it to De Bruyne or Sterling or even Grealish, another one that we've missed out on. That they're going to create at the top end of the pitch. So like you said, it's the pass before the assist.
Much like Jack Grealish, it could be a similar situation though going to Manchester City in that everything at West Ham today went through Rice. So every time Noble got the ball, the first thing he did was give it to Declan Rice. Whereas actually, you're the guy having to give it to De Bruyne, to Foden, rather than being... So you're a step further back in the process almost.
Yeah, but I think you can tell that he's a team player and they'd be willing to do that. And they call it like carrying the water for them. No problem. I think he's able to do that, but then he has the qualities to step in and play as well. I think, like you said, there's not a team in the Premiership that he doesn't probably strengthen their squad, first of all, and you go as far as saying he's strengthening their first 11. Like any team, like Fabinho's fantastic for Liverpool, does a great job. Thiago's different, but he's on a par with Fabinho. Fabinho probably sees danger a lot better and covers in little holes and he gets little nicks on things. His awareness for danger is probably a little bit higher than Rice's at the minute, but he's a bit older. But it probably has to be. But yeah, I couldn't get over the presence of him in today's game. I was blown away about the stature he had in the game. He looked like a really, really top player.
The end of the season is fascinating in so many ways. At the top, at the bottom with Everton's victory today, and the race for the top 4. So Arsenal have the advantage, 4 games left. Next weekend is going to be huge because Spurs go to Anfield to play Liverpool and Arsenal are at home to Leeds United, who are now in a relegation scrap themselves. I was reading an interesting piece during the week about the battle for the top 4, and there's a lot of criticism as to how could Manchester United have survived for so long by being that bad, but generally the team that finishes 4th is a team that is either on the way down or is just scrapping away. There's a real inconsistency to find yourself 4th in the league. For Arsenal to be in 4th place right now, is that an achievement for Mikel Arteta?
From where they were, it probably is. Like you said, they haven't qualified for the Champions League since Arsene Wenger left. So for them to now be in with a chance to do that, and from where Arteta has brought them, where, like you said, they were considered soft, they were considered flaky, they weren't consistent enough. To get 4th spot in this league at the moment, when you're up against the Champions League winners, the Champions League finalists and the league champions, as well as Liverpool. Liverpool didn't win anything last year. They had a really tough season. So to be in fighting amongst them to get into that top 4, it's a really good achievement from Mikel Arteta. Chelsea have dipped a little bit since everything that's gone on, probably internationally, in terms of the Roman Abramovich stuff. It's like it's really hindered their outlook as a football club, not just the team, and they've become inconsistent. But it's a fantastic opportunity for Arsenal to get into that top 4 and see what comes from with the Champions League revenue and stuff. Spurs are doing really well to get back into it, considering they changed their manager as well. And Conte's not in the job that long, and he's put them in with a chance to make sure that they get into the top 4. United are hanging on by hook or by crook. I don't know how they do it, because, like you said, Ronaldo pops up with goals for them and gets them out of trouble. But like it's the inconsistency maybe of Arsenal and Spurs that's allowing United to stay. We're in a shout of it.
Call it then, one word: Arsenal or Spurs?
Arsenal.
Oof.
I just think they probably have the easier run in. Spurs have to beat them. I think Spurs probably will beat them in the London Derby, but it might be a little bit too much for them because, like you said, Spurs are going to Anfield. Having said that, I'm probably a little bit worried about Liverpool with Spurs going there, because they do cause them trouble. As somebody who would probably looking for Liverpool to stay in it and have that and keep that title race up, Spurs going to Anfield is a tough nut to crack for Liverpool. But if anyone can do it, it's probably them in Anfield.
Great stuff today, Graham.
Thanks, Nathan. Appreciate it.